The Well is, well, it's another really solid episode that has the big task of being the first to directly address and show the aftermath of a major MCU film release, in this case Thor the Dark World, aka no one's favourite. I really enjoy the character moments in this one, alongside scraps of backstory for Ward and the themes at play, the past haunting you and emotions taking you over. For me, it only really falters with a not so interesting threat and not leaning into a more interesting character driven story with Gemma. We're also seeing the show become much more arc based and not so standalone episode heavy. This episode wouldn't be as impactful or enjoyable if you hadn't seen episode 6 for example. Life isn't worth it if you haven't seen episode 6, let's be real. Gemma gives a voiceover relating to Thor and Asgard now being well known to humanity as we see shots from the Thor films. At Greenwich University, she would have been sent to clean up the mess left after Thor the Dark World's final battle. It was always risky having episodes tie into films as they were released, potentially alienating those who hadn't seen them yet, but S.H.I.E.L.D.'s approach works really well. It doesn't spoil anything major, certainly nothing not already shown in trailers, and only focuses on the aftermath of the events instead of being set during. It's smart, and allows the show to tell its own story within a wider universe, but also means they don't have to deal with people complaining as to why Chris Hemsworth didn't show up, unaware if he did it would mean the show would have a budget left to make about half an episode. I could watch this opening sequence for 40 minutes. There are so many lovely character moments here I adored.
This is definitely the type of work a monkey could easily do.
You're our little monkey.
Wouldn't mind getting my human hands on Thor. He's so dreamy.
Sure, he's handsome, but...
No, he's dreamy.
Gemma's been avoiding answering her parents' calls, having not spoken to them since episode 6. I love that they're still addressing her trauma and that she's still recovering from her ordeal. I also adore that Fitz can tell who's calling Gemma just by the look on her face. In Norway, 2 backpackers have been tracking down a certain tree. They chop it down and find some metallic-looking artifact inside. The woman touches it and is told to embrace her rage. She appears to have been given immense powers as she attacks the local security. The team investigate the site of the incident where Gemma admits to Ward she's still wary of her fear taking over after what she went through, tying into the theme of emotions controlling us in this episode. Fitzsimmons deduced the stolen artifact is of Asgardian origin.
Looks like a staff or a rod. It's my hardware, my equipment. Let's hang up.
While Sky and May discover the thieves started riots and are claiming to be gods. Kudos for writing that so neatly. The team ID the perpetrators as Jacob and Petra, members of a group of people obsessed with Norse mythology who have been tracking pieces of a weapon like the one they found in the tree. Sky suggests magic is involved and Fitzsimmons shrugged this off, a trait of theirs that continues for seasons to come. Coulson has an expert in Norse mythology to contact for more information on what the stolen object is, Professor Elliot Randolph. Randolph reveals the stolen object was a part of the Berserker staff, wielded by an Asgardian warrior who fell in love with life on Earth and remained there, splitting the staff into 3 pieces and hiding them to keep it safe.
And the staff contained a very powerful magic.
Or a scientific attribute we've yet to discover.
Analytically minded and pretty as a peach.
The warrior in the story?
Fitz having none of that flirting with his crush bullshit and immediately getting things back on track is everything. Randolph offers them generic routes to take in their investigation. As the team scour for possible locations of the other 2 staff pieces, Sky scours Jacob's message boards and concludes,
People suck, sir.
That's your progress? People suck?
I guess she's not big on horses. They find a potential spot where a piece is buried and head there.
Let's see what we can dig up. See what I did there?
Man, Coulson's great, isn't he? As Sky and Ward search the site, Ward comes across Randolph, who has a piece of the staff. Ward touches it and seems consumed with visions of a small child in a well. Well, 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 what do we have here? You can see Sky's growing care for Ward as she calls him by his first name.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Grant, calm down.
Randolph escapes but is spotted by Jacob, Petra and their groupies, who confront him. Coulson tracks down Randolph, who somehow got out of his predicament with ease. Fitzsimmons run tests on Ward and see his chemistry has been altered by the staff. Clearly all is not well with Ward, and he gets snappier and angrier than usual, particularly when Sky asks if the visions he saw had something to do with the brother he told her about previously. Coulson interrogates Randolph while Ward's anger escalates with a low blow towards Fitz.
Are you gonna take him on? Keep us safe? Or am I gonna have to save Simmons' ass? Again.
I love that even the show can't let that episode go because it was so good. Ward continues to be haunted by his visions. Well, how about that? And goes all Captain America on a punch bag. May confronts him about his experience.
The last thing you need is to punch things.
You got a better idea.
Unfortunately. Jacob riles up his followers in a very generic scene that made me realise I'd much rather be seeing the main team or Randolph have this screen time. After Jacob perfectly captures my reaction to a particular kiss in Season 3 Episode 8, we see Ward opening up to Coulson about how he knows he's compromised right now and is remembering the first time he felt pure hate. Coulson shows a lot of trust in Ward, oops, and, like Skye earlier, shows his growing care by using his first name.
The way I went off at Skye and Fitzsimmons in the lab.
Grant, you telling me this makes me feel I can trust you.
Wrong-o.
Ward interrogates Randolph and attacks him. Randolph defends himself with a display of super strength, and he's revealed to be the Asgardian warrior he spoke of earlier, confirming suspicions Coulson already had. The bus kids adorably geek out over being so close to an Asgardian as Randolph explains how his legendary story became public knowledge.
Were you captured? Tortured?
Horny.
Fair enough. Coulson threatens to expose Randolph to the world and ruin his more low-key lifestyle, leading Randolph to reveal the third and final piece of the staff is in the church in Ireland. Ward questions Randolph about how long the staff's effects on his body and mind will last. I have to say, Brett Dalton is great here. The worry and anticipation on his face is executed brilliantly, with a lot of the emotion coming from the eyes. Skye questions whether Ward is in the right state to go with them to Ireland, but Coulson defends Ward.
I'm with Coulson.
Not yet, mate. They arrive in Ireland and go for the staff, only to find Jacob has beaten them to it. He stabs Randolph with the staff. Ward grabs it and is flooded with rage again, perfectly capturing my reaction to the season 5 finale. And a fight breaks out. Gemma tries to revive Randolph and Coulson really gets stuck in to help.
Oh my god.
Hoping to keep Randolph alive long enough for his Asgardian body to heal itself. Jacob is dealt with as more of his followers arrive and things get all Kingsman the Secret Service as Ward takes them out. During the fight, we see the full vision haunting Ward. His younger brother was thrown down the well by his older brother. Petra arrives and May intervenes, taking over the fight from Ward. She takes 2 staff pieces and seems much more controlled as she kicks ass. Ward and May share a nod that seems to say thanks, or alternatively, we're gonna bang tonight. Randolph manages to heal himself and all is well.
You are easily the most beautiful thing I've seen in 1,000 years.
Big mood. Gemma beats herself up for not knowing how to properly help heal Randolph.
Yeah, you didn't freeze. You just weren't up for the idea of putting your hand inside somebody else's chest.
I love Fitz reassuring her here. He has this complex himself after episode 6 and doesn't want Gemma to suffer with it either. Gemma finally answers her parents' call, indicating she's beginning to heal from her ordeal. I wish we'd seen more of this subplot. Since Jacob and Petra were already paper-thin characters, I wouldn't have minded them trading the lining up followers sequence for more exploration on how Gemma was approaching dealing with her parents. Or even not dealing with them, since we know throughout the series how she tends to, shall we say, put things in a box. It's a bit of a shame for me. At least we got something, I guess. Ward asks May how she managed to control her emotions so easily when handling the staff.
Because they see it every day.
I wonder if I'll ever find out more about that. Coulson opens up to Randolph about the blurriness surrounding his own death, while Randolph decides he needs to relocate somewhere new. In a local hotel, Skye and Ward talk about the past that haunted him and he apologises for his behaviour.
I'm not that guy.
Skye offers to talk through Ward's pain with him, but he declines. It's actually a very sweet moment without hindsight. Ward retires to his room, where he spots May walking to hers with a bottle of alcohol and the door left open for him. He takes a moment then follows her in and closes the door. I'm sure they're just going to play cards or something. We've seen hints at some sort of connection between the two throughout the season so far, so while I wasn't over the moon about this development, I could see how it, well, came to pass. In the tag, Coulson is recuperating in Tahiti and notes that it all seems too good to be true.
It's a magical place.
He wakes up with a start, revealing it all to be in his mind. Interesting. I like ending episodes on Coulson's arc like this, particularly this episode where we've seen characters battling with memories suppressed in their unconscious. The narrative themes tying series arcs with episodic arcs in this episode might be one of the best executed so far. The Well is another good episode. It could tell a unique story about Thor the Dark World that movies often ignore, the aftermath, and had plenty of character moments for our core cast. Getting backstory for Ward was nice, but I do wish the Gemma subplot had more focus, particularly when there wasn't much they could do to save Jacob and Petra from their fate as paper-thin villains that only existed to be beaten up at the end. You could genuinely count the number of lines Petra had on one hand and probably still have fingers to spare. The endings with Coulson, Ward and May were intriguing, and as always, I'm excited to see what happens next, so the episode did its job. Randolph was also a very fun presence, and it's a shame it seems to just be a one-off appearance for him. Or is it? Well...